Hello, ladies. All right, I love this next question. It makes me so happy because the fact that it was asked means that you're already thinking in the right frame of mind. Okay, so a lot of women that I see with cesarean scars, they've had one scar, they've had multiple scars, maybe multiple births. So that means, in my opinion, multiple scars, even though it's maybe over the same scar. And they come to me and they're like, man, it's like I have this shelf. Or they're like, it's just this area around my scar, lower belly, it just feels like I'm getting nothing. I'm not getting any lower abdominal engagement. I'm not feeling like there's anything moving. I can't lose weight there. I get that a lot. And then also they ask, well, I had a cesarean birth. Why am I having pelvic floor issues? So we're going to tackle this in multiple ways, okay? Bear with me, because you are multifactorial, you're multidimensional as a human, and that needs to be respected, and it definitely in this case. So with a cesarean scar, an incision, do I have my pelvis? I do have my pelvis. A cesarean scar, you have an incision just above your pubic bone. And if you look at where that scar is, it's sitting just on top of where your bladder sits in, right here. And so actually there's a ligament, not to digress, but a ligament that connects the bladder to this pubic area right here, and that actually kind of fascially feeds into usually where you have your cesarean scar, okay? So that's thought number one, is that it's very, very close to your pelvic floor, bladder, uterus, and rectum where they do that incision, okay? So location-wise, we kind of paint that picture. And then, it's right at this line that is called the arcuate line. The arcuate line is where all of your abdominal tissues, so all your abdominal muscles, almost converge in. And in fact, they do converge in. And it creates this nice thick tissue that helps to anchor in our abdominals. Because just like how you would want to make sure that there's a stable point, if I have a hair tie here, we have a fixed point. I'm able to stretch and relax from the fixed point. Yeah. If this one's not as stable, we're not able to get the stability and contractility of the pull, because then I just go with it. Yeah. And then we don't really have that stretch and contract. We're not producing power. So you have to keep in mind that we need that anchoring point that's functional and not sticky. Which leads me to my next point. Whenever we have a cesarean scar, or any scar for that matter, because I treat many, many scars, especially abdominal scars, we have scar tissue that forms. And scar tissue is necessary. The body is like, hey, I'm going to help provide stability to this area that has, for lack of better terms, been cut open, and there's lack of stability here, so we're going to help you out. And so it helps you out. Well, and this is noted in literature, we don't really know how long the body will actually put up that stability. We'll be making this scar tissue. Right now we have recorded 9 to 2 years, but they actually think it goes past that, because as we look at the scar, we notice that, oh, well, we're looking at it, so we might be creating more scar tissue there. The body's basically, even 20 years down the line, is like, hey, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to give you some more stability, and then adds on some more. And most people, whenever I tell them that, they're like, wait, so you mean I'm going to constantly have issues? No, because what we have to do is we have to basically send signals to our scar tissue area, or our cesarean area, letting it know that we're cool. We've done our job and it's time to rest. And I want to take you to a visual here of kind of what happens with this scar tissue. The scar tissue is kind of matted in, creating some stability underneath that scar and around that scar. And so that's why sometimes you'll see it almost bunching up. And that's on purpose. But that scar is sticky, okay? It's not like, think about whenever you squish a baby's belly and it's just like butter, yeah? Around your scar a lot of times, and really throughout the abdomen, we can get stuckness. It's almost sticky, it's firm, it's there's a different feel, and that a lot of people, they're like, how did you know where I was pressing? It's because there's a difference in different parts of your abdomen where this doesn't really give way. It doesn't let me speak to it. It doesn't let me engage it like the other spots on your body or on your scar. And so that's how I know that, oh, we have a little bit more thickness, more stickiness, more congealed nature around here. So what that does is that speaks to us and says, okay, around this area of just stuckness and hardness, for lack of a better term, we need to introduce some healing, some freeness, some, one of my mentors says, I'm going to turn this space into butter. We need the belly to be like butter. And before you're like, oh no, I don't want my belly to be like butter, hear me out here. We want that muscle, that space, that tissue to get hydration, to get the feeling of safeness, to feel like it can release and relax. Because before we do that, we're not going to be able to move anything. We're not going to be able to have activation. We're not going to be able to have deep control. And in fact, we're going to have this more stagnant feel. We're going to have a collection of maybe bloating, of maybe water retention, because these fluids are not being able to be utilized as well as sent out and distributed throughout the body. Instead, they're just stuck. They're just hanging out. They're like, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to sit here. And so we kind of almost get that shelf-like nature. We get that bloating feeling. We get this feeling of just bleh around our scar and in that lower belly. And this can happen for vaginal delivery too. So we have this bleh feeling and, you know, we're cinching up the scar. It's giving us some stability and support. But now we're starting to get some tugging. We're starting to get some not feeling so hard in the opposite hip, and the opposite shoulder, and up into the neck, down at my hips, down at my knees. Maybe my pelvic floor is not feeling so hot. I'm experiencing incontinence, stuff like that, because of the stuckness with the scar is impacting elsewhere. We haven't even talked about the muscles, yeah? Once we have had that incision through the layers of tissue, it affects their neuromuscular conversation. It affects their ability to contract and relax. It affects their ability to do this. Okay? It just kind of gets stuck. And if you think about it as a crimp in the system, I'm not going to be able to engage down here if I have this crimp in the system. I'm just going to kind of feel this, and I'm not going to get the full contraction and relaxation. And same down here. This one's now kind of short and crimped, and I can't even do much with this. However, once we're able to release the scar and the center, I get a whole lot more variability, movement, and so much more. The same rules apply with your scar and basically with anything. If we're giving that crimp, that congestion, that hardness in the central area, you're not going to get as much more variability out of the tissues as we could. So I say all this to answer that question. Let's break it down to the most simplest concept. Is it the cesarean scar that is affecting my pelvic floor issue? Is it affecting my issues with body image, with bloating, with waking around the central core, around the lower belly shelf, the pooch? Is it affecting my low back pain? Yes. It could be multifactorial. That could be only one of the issue, but it's definitely a big one. And no matter how far out from your scar or your birth you are, you can still affect change. You can still have an impact. There's no time limit. There's no cut and dry, 2 years gone by, you can't do anything. Nope, we can still do stuff. So hopefully that answers your question. And like I say, I've already had some great questions posted at the end of our first video. If you have one that maybe leads off of this or something that pops into mind, please drop it below, or go back to my post on our group Positively Balanced Mamas Facebook page and post your question there. I hope that this was informational. I hope that it was effective and helpful. I look forward to our next chat, which will be coming up real soon.